What if I run out of yarn in the middle of a row? I only have this much left in my skein. There's two approaches to this. If you are doing this same color, even if you're doing a different color, but I'm not sure why you do a different color in the middle of a row, you would, first method, bring these two strands of yarn together. The old yarn points this way, the new yarn points to the right. You want to leave yourself 7 or 8 inches. Hold these two together. Hold this loose end with this hand. And do 4 stitches holding those 2 yarns together. This approach is problematic, especially with thick yarns, because it leaves a thick spot in your knitting. You might be able to tell that difference. It's just way thicker. But it's easy because you just knit the next row and come back and cut your tails in a little while when you're all done with your project. The other way is not to hold the strands together, but you just pick up the new yarn, drop the old yarn, and leave it on the wrong side of your work. Start your stitches with the new yarn. This definitely will leave a hole that you will just be able to fill in when you weave your ends back in. I'm gonna finish this row. So you have 2 strands of yarn that need to be woven in after a couple of rows. I have knitted back to where I added my new ball of yarn, and that stitch is really loose, but it's easy to tighten up and needs to be tightened up just by pulling that strand and hanging on to it while I knit the rest of the row. This one's going to be loose because it was the old strand of yarn, so tighten it up and hang on to it while you knit across. Then do a couple more rows and come back and weave the ends in. Okay, I've gone far enough in my work that I can come back and weave these ends in. If I've left myself a long enough tail, I can thread the yarn onto my yarn needle, and I need to duplicate the stitches where this yarn came from. I know that this yarn, you can see where it came from. There, 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 there. I need to go the exact same way. There. And pull it up so that it's the same tension as the rest of the row. There. That's 3. That's 4. I might do one more because this fat yarn has a tendency to loosen up. Okay, I've woven that one. I can cut the end without cutting my fabric. Now I thread this strand and go the other way. If it's coming out of here, it came from here, needs to go the same, in the same manner, in the opposite direction. 2. That doesn't look right. There we go. It's pretty fat with that fat yarn. There, one more time. Pull that out and cut your end. That's not quite as obtrusive on the right side as it would have been had you used just a double strand of yarn for 4 stitches. And I might not have mentioned why you don't just tie knots in knitting. And that's because they're very uncomfortable to live with if you're wearing what you've knitted. Knots are irritating, so you want to make your work as smooth as possible.